Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we take a look at the astrological energies from April 21st until April 28th. Where did April go? I think we say this every month, but we'll be talking about the significant energy changes of this week. And it's an interesting combination of both clarity, acceleration, and then integration. And I'm going to talk about that in today's show. Every week on this Wednesday podcast, we discuss the astrological energies, whether you understand astrology terminology or not. I hope that you get value and some beneficial information from this show. And every week, what we're also tapping into is the ongoing progression of energy, how the energy keeps moving, it keeps progressing, and how it helps us understand what we're moving through, what we're supported in, how the cycles are showing up at this time, and how we can make the most of them. So it's important to keep in mind that it's always a progression of energy, and that as we move through these different levels and layers of energies, there are themes that emerge. There are energies that are stronger and clearer. And now that we are in Taurus season, which is the second sign of the zodiac, it is the first earth sign, and it is the first fixed sign. We have a new energy recipe to understand and work with that is a transition from Aries season into Taurus season. And I'm going to talk about that too, because Aries season was very big this year as we had a number of energies and planets in Aries. And there was something coming up that we were really meant to understand about ourselves. It is that authentic energy within us rising, that authentic part of us that hopefully feels clearer to you. Something is known, something has come up to your awareness about who you are, what you're about, and what is a vital part of your own self-identity at this time. The Aries energy is that first spark of existence. It's that energy of something new and fresh coming through. And perhaps you experienced that or felt that in one area of your life or multiple areas of your life, but more importantly, within yourself. And as the planets move through every astrological sign, there is a progression of growth, a progression of maturity, and a rising of consciousness through that astrological sign. And we had a very dynamic Aries season as the planets that went through Aries, including the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, all touched on that Chiron in Aries that was a tender spot, a vulnerability, an insecurity, a fear, something that is forming and coming together, but it might not feel quite strong enough yet. You know, it's a little bit wobbly, a little shaky. It doesn't have a sense of perhaps strength to it yet. But as we have ended Aries season and move into Taurus season, what we look at is what we're taking with us, what we're carrying forward, what is traveling with us. And as the Aries energies progress, they develop into confidence in yourself, a new confidence, a new understanding of who you are, what you want, what you need, what is essential to you now. And this is an energy within your own self, within you as an energy container. And it can get into some of the unconscious patterns that you've held throughout your life. Now, the Aries energy, when it's immature and undeveloped, it can be the energy of fighting, competing, excessive competing, unhealthy ego, false ego, the parts of ourselves that aren't quite secure. But what we're moving into now in Taurus season is that whatever you came to understand about who you are now, you're ready to root it and ground it, solidify it in a very powerful manner with greater intention and self-awareness. So what I wanted to just connect here is that whatever came up for you during Aries season, you have choices to make about whether you keep it or it goes, whether it's truly a part of you or it's something that you're realizing is an old expression, an old action, an old way of doing something or being in the world. And this can show up too through many unconscious patterns that we have that only we can see in ourselves. And one thing that the Aries energy wants to mature is into this greater sense of confidence in exactly who you are, in the fact that who you are is enough, is valuable, is special, is unique. And when you have that energy very clear within you, you can really help ground it in Taurus. So I feel like one of the takeaways, if you will, from Aries season is a development of confidence in who you are now. And to also look at where maybe you felt any wobble or insecurities, where you felt something outside of yourself affecting that confidence or affecting that sense of self. Because again, part of the unconscious Aries energy can have a belief system around competition. As if you have to fight for something, you have to prove yourself, you have to demonstrate that you're the best. And this can have a valid place in the world, certainly in athletics and sports. There are areas in our lives where there is healthy competition and where we know we're entering into healthy competition. Of course, this can be in, say, a job you're applying for or something that you want. You can at first have that perspective of, I want to be the one. I want to be the one who gets the job. I want to be the one who does the best. I want to be the one who goes first. These are all Aries traits. But the maturity here is in coming back to yourself and saying, there's no competition for me. I'm not competing with anyone for anything. There's no competition to be myself, to be my energy, to be in my gifts. And you want to rework that if anything is still lingering. If there's anything that maybe triggered you or hurt you or disappointed you, if there's anything that happened or transpired that took you out of your confidence in yourself, because this is where you can see yourself and your unconscious programming even more. You can say, oh, wow, I didn't realize I became competitive about something, or I didn't realize that I was actually fighting for something or trying to prove something. When you are really feeling solid in yourself, you know there's no competition to be yourself. There's nothing you have to prove. There's nothing that you have to demonstrate. You just continue to be yourself. And the right people will recognize you. They will value you. They will understand this. They won't take it for granted. It won't be one-sided. It won't be an experience where you feel maybe that you could have done something else or done something more. You come back to the confidence in yourself that no matter what changes in life, no matter what transpires, no matter what shows up or even falls through, you're still supported and loved, and you're still able to bring that energy back to yourself and fortify who you are. This is part of our ongoing work, and in your astrology chart, it's actually connected to multiple planets in your chart. These kinds of overarching energies, such as confidence, can be found in your sun, your moon, your Venus, Mercury, and Mars. The confidence energy can be found in all 5 of those. And so when we have these planets in harmony in our charts, we can feel more confident. But if they are in a difficult aspect, if there is a square between your moon and your Venus, this can be a point where your confidence at times gets shaky. If you're having an opposition between your sun and your Mars, this is where that energy of confidence might be harder at times because you could perceive competition or something outside of you. And that is what the opposition does, is it takes us out of ourselves. That's the perception. So this energy of confidence is really important to tap into right now, because you're going to see in yourself maybe where it got faded or it shrunk, or you took energy out of yourself unconsciously, like you took it, you gave it to someone else. You thought someone else or something else was better than you, or that there was something that had to change within you. What I feel is really important here as we transition between signs, as the energies shift, especially significantly, is to stay mindful of what you're carrying forward and to look at what you need to take care of yourself and take care of your sense of self. As the sun moves through the first 6 signs of the zodiac, that would be Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. As the sun moves through all 6 energies, this is the development of self-progression. These are internal energies that we use to really tap into who we are before we share our energy out in the world through the remaining 6 astrological signs of Libra through Pisces. So at this time, the self-awareness is key, and it's something that we want to stay mindful of. So the confidence part is an ongoing life theme for many. It is something that we have to essentially fuel up. Just like you put fuel in your vehicle, you fuel up yourself with confidence. There's things that you maybe need to call back to yourself or give yourself a pep talk or get more grounding or get more clear and centered that your energy is absolutely enough. And as we move here into Taurus season, we can really allow that to be honored, grounded, and clear. And this is where we have an opportunity to fortify ourselves at a foundational level. So we currently have the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Uranus, all 4 planets in Taurus, bringing your attention to this first decan of Taurus from 0 degrees to 9 degrees. And this is laying the groundwork. This is a bit like preparing a garden where you're preparing the soil and you're really understanding what is required to allow something to be nourished and to have it grow in a healthy environment. As the planets move through that first decan of Taurus, we come into what matters to us. And the keywords associated with Taurus are typically what we own, what we energetically invest in, where we find value in ourselves, where we're looking for stability and security. This is a self-reliant energy, and it's very practical. It's about the 5 senses, and so at a base level, it's about food, water, shelter, what you need to survive. But at a more advanced level, this is the energy that you hold within yourself that gives you sustenance, that is self-reliant, that reminds you that you are whole and complete. And how are you taking care of yourself? How are you loving and accepting yourself now? And it's easy to do that on the good days. And it's easy to do that when the wind is at our back and things are sailing along and life is really rosy and happy. It can be harder to dig in to that place of loving and accepting ourselves when we move through challenges, when we are burdened and stressed, when we're really worried, when we feel we did something wrong or we messed up, when we feel like, oh, I made a mistake or what do I do next? Like all these things can take us out of that place within us that has pure love for who we are and all of the ways we experience this human journey. So I feel like what we're doing here is getting very clear that even when there's big changes in the world and outside of us, in our lives, in our private lives, in our personal worlds, even when there is chaos outside of us, that Taurus energy can help us really feel solid within. And it's by feeling solid within that we are capable of managing the chaos and the changes. We're capable of moving through these bigger life cycles and energies because that strength is found within us. The security and the stability of Taurus is truly within. And that can be one of the experiences of Taurus energy, is that at first it's very much about establishing stability in the world through your private world, through your life, your family, your home, your job, looking for what is stable, what can I rely on to build my life on. And then, of course, as we go through life, we have many changes and we have many things that unfold out of our control that rock the foundation of our lives. And I feel like what the Taurus energy is about reminding yourself that you always have stability and security within, and that it's okay when everything changes or when you go through those big dips, those highs and those lows, because you're traveling with that energy within you, within your own energy container. So then when you couple this with the energy from Aries of the confidence, of the sense of self, of the ability to be who you are without it being related to anyone else or anything else, when you have that within you, then you really feel a new solid energy that you're loving yourself, you're accepting yourself, even on the rough days or through those hard patches, because you know you have within you what you need to keep going. Now, that Taurus energy, you have to stay mindful that every astrological sign has a higher expression and a lower expression. And so as we move through the journey of Taurus, we assess what matters to us, where we invest our time, where we spend our money, how much we're willing to pay for something. You know, maybe you look for more sales prices, or maybe you really want to buy something luxurious and indulgent. Maybe you just want to listen to Madonna's Material Girl on repeat. But really, the energy of Taurus is about what you value that energetically creates your life. And our values change throughout our lives. And we have the energy right now of these 4 planets in Taurus really asking us to look at what matters to you now, especially after this past 12 months, 16 months, especially after all of the changes from 2020 and beyond. How has your value system changed? What matters to you now? What are you taking forward now? And where are you being very conscious of what you bring into your life, bring into your home, bring into your world, but bring into your energy? And I feel like that's very important right now, because when we have significant life changes, such as the energies of 2020, we have an opportunity to reevaluate. What does matter to me? What do I need to experience and create to live a really good life for myself? What does that mean right now? What is that about? What does that look like? And I feel like this Taurus energy is guiding us through this understanding. Now, the Taurus energy is ruled by Venus, and Venus is in Taurus at this time, but she has a very active ride over the next week, as does Mercury in Taurus. They are traveling very closely together, and these are the siblings of the zodiac, Mercury and Venus. And in Taurus, they go slower, they observe, they are calmer, they want space, they want time. However, they're not going to get a lot of time, because what's going to happen at first is both Venus and Mercury are going to be conjunct Uranus at 10 degrees of Taurus. Venus conjunct Uranus April 22nd, Mercury conjunct Uranus April 23rd. And as they meet up with Uranus, this is about the bigger cosmic changes that we're going through. This is where there's that shock, there's liberation, there's awakening. There's also the energy of impatience and a sense of breaking out, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done with this. I'm sick of this. It can be very clear to you what you no longer want, what you no longer need. This can be an energy that moves things forward. And I feel like we have to be mindful of how this energy shows up, because it can be very unconscious, where you're lashing out or you're just having to express something and it comes across wrong because there's been a buildup. So there can be this volcanic eruption as Venus and Mercury are conjunct Uranus, because if the energy hasn't been expressed in a healthy way, there can be a sense of, I just need freedom. I just need this monkey off my back. I just need to get away. Like, there's that sense of an impulsive movement. And this can also be electrifying because the deeper message is that you're understanding what you do and do not want in your life. Now, after both planets make a conjunction to Uranus, they're each going to square Saturn in Aquarius at 12 degrees. Venus in Taurus will square Saturn April 24th, followed by Mercury in Taurus April 25th, and then both Mercury and Venus will be exactly conjunct at 12 degrees of Taurus. This square to Saturn is often a reality check, and it could be something that you do impulsively, and then you're like, oh crap, what did I just do? Oh wait, I didn't mean to do that. I acted too quickly, I acted too fast, and then Saturn has a consequence or a message. Saturn has a responsibility component. It has a reality check of, did you think this through? Did you understand how this would play out going forward? Because this energy is ultimately liberating us from something that's no longer in resonance. Something, someone, a possession, something that you thought was important. And now Saturn comes in and says that actually it's time to slow down and take a break. This energy does bring up February energy, because February is when we had the first square between Saturn and Uranus. We will have the next square in June. With Mercury and Venus, these are personal planets where something is working with us at a personal level over the next week, showing us where we want to make change. But these energies are in the fixed signs that don't want change unless you choose it, unless you're ready, unless you've planned it out or there's something that you want, or unless the universe says it's time, ready or not. And because we have the outer planets of Uranus and Saturn involved, there is a universal timing here. Maybe you feel like you get a kick in the butt. Maybe something happens to you that at first it isn't what you chose, it isn't what you want, but then it puts you on a new path or a truer path. This is an energy here where, ready or not, the change is happening. And it's whatever was happening in February comes back up, comes back around, because now a part of our heart and mind is shifting. The heart being Venus, the mind being Mercury. So there is a shift in ourselves this week that we feel at a more conscious and personal level, and it could be uncomfortable at first. Now, we currently have 6 planets in the fixed signs. The 4 planets in Taurus, plus Saturn and Aquarius and Jupiter in Aquarius. The fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. And again, these are the energies that don't want change at first. They want reliability. They want to know what to count on. These are the energies that are actually really good at grounding in, at looking at what is true and for their intentions and sticking with it. And so these energies have a lot of fortitude and perseverance. There's a lot of determination. There can even be a force. There can be that sense of these energies are so persistent, they don't give up. They're very much about what is true for them and staying in that lane. However, we have a square, and a square means tension, frustration. And I feel it as there is something in our life that we're really meant to focus on, or that's energetically a focal point right now. That there can be something you are trying to figure out or get to the next steps with. There's something that maybe you want to change or you want to shift or you're looking for a solution. This energy is asking us to just sit in it. We're supposed to sit in something. There's no rushing. There's no immediate answer. Or if there is an answer, this energy feels very locked. It's like locked in. It could feel like a pressure. There's a pressure, something, or perhaps it feels like stagnation, that something is stuck, and it could be really frustrating. The fixed energies are sitting in something, and it's bringing our attention to, it's interesting because, again, I feel like it goes to February, and then it's happening right now, so there's a link between February and right now, And there's something that we're understanding about our energy, our values, what matters to us in a whole new way. But I feel like this is an energy of going in, like seeing something in a new way, because I believe it's meant to benefit us. So if you feel stuck or that there's that locked in energy where you can't budge, we're meant to go into it and see it and what's been happening underneath, which is one of the big themes of this upcoming Scorpio full moon at 7 degrees, which is happening on April 26th. And I have a chart for you on YouTube discussing the energies of the Scorpio full moon. And this is a very interesting full moon because, again, it's in the fixed signs where we're just sitting in something. And that can feel really uncomfortable when you want movement, you want to know what to do. It's just not time, because what we're looking at is more of what's underneath, more of how we've been operating, more of what we've been choosing, more of what we've been thinking and what we've been feeling. And I feel like there is this pause that can also feel uncomfortable. And it's interesting because we just talked about how Mercury and Venus are moving across Uranus, which is electrifying and typically energetic, but it's also breaking us out of something, an old way of knowing ourselves. There's this breaking away, the cracking away. And it feels like this energy is slow moving and that, again, we're just sitting in something. And whatever it is for you, this Scorpio full moon at 7 degrees is going to show you more of what's been operating within you that you're meant to transform and bring up into the light. Scorpio energy is about what's under the surface. It's about what's within us, why we do certain things. It's the unconscious fears that we have. It's how we make choices. It's what's going on at a deeper level of our psyche. Scorpio is the energy of where we can look at ourselves and know ourselves in a deeper way. But also notice how Scorpio is the opposite of Taurus. And Taurus is about, as I've said, where we accept ourselves, where we understand that we're worthy of being here just because we're in a human body. And even though we have all these different layers to ourselves and all these parts of ourselves that are quite complex, Taurus comes back to the simplicity of existence and that who you are matters. But the Scorpio energy is the furthest point from our self-love and our self-worth. And so there can be a perception that other people, which is Scorpio, other people's energies, other people's ideas and feelings and thoughts take us out of something in ourselves. And what is that? What is affecting you that you've taken on from others? And this can be energy from long ago, from your childhood, from last decade. This can be energies from other lifetimes. But that Scorpio energy is where we merge and we share. And that can be at conscious and unconscious levels. And I feel like what we're really looking at over the next week is more of what has formed our self-understanding and how we accept ourselves. And it's kind of like you could have all these different experiences that come up that you're like, that really wasn't a healing experience for me. Or, that really wasn't a healthy relationship. Or, that brought out the worst in me. Or maybe it's something that is reflected back to you that you're like, I would make a different choice right now. Or I see things differently based on who I am. So there's this interesting energy that we're just sitting in that's bringing up more of what's under the surface. And then we're looking at what we're going to choose and what we're going to decide. But I feel like it's just not comfortable. And there's gifts in that. Because we're stepping out of a comfort zone. We're stepping out of what we've known in terms of a certain part of ourselves. And this is how we see ourselves differently and we raise our own consciousness. Now, the other thing that's happening over the next week is Mars enters Cancer, and that's happening on April 23rd. Now, Mars is not strong in Cancer in the ways that he wants to be. So Mars typically wants to run, and in Cancer, he has to swim. And just look at how much longer it takes to get from one place to another if you have to swim there instead of run. So he is a little bit debilitated. He's slower. And when you're in the water, you have to mind the waves. You're aware of other forces that you're feeling and sensing. And this Mars in Cancer now operates in a different element, the element of water, and it's a little bit awkward. So now he is really in more of his feelings in a way that probably isn't comfortable, but there are gifts in this too, because that Mars in Cancer actually brings you back to your childhood and your first emotional experiences that were unconscious. This is one of the energies of Cancer. And then things come up through Mars that you're realizing you don't like or you don't want. You can feel triggered and angry because of something that just came up to your awareness. But then you move it through, you work it through, and you take responsibility, or you understand what it was about, or that it wasn't yours. I feel like this Mars in Cancer is another energy that not only is going slow, it's redirecting us back to our heart. And there could be something in the heart space that feels empty, unfulfilled. I'm getting the image of a mother, whether that is a mother energy, a female maternal energy that's very dominant, or very much about their self or their own needs. There can also be the energy of mothering, where it's overgiving, it's too much. This Mars is the trigger. So he shows us where we have more underneath the surface that we didn't realize. So we experience it first as the lower expressions of an astrological sign. So often when Mars changes signs, we get pissed off about something that we didn't know we were pissed off about. I do want to note too that Mars moving at 0 degrees of Cancer is a very strong point in the zodiac. It's called an Aries point, which is the 0 degrees of all the cardinal signs, which initiate each season. However, this Mars moving across 0 degrees of Cancer is triggering an eclipse point from last June of 2020. And that's often a big deal. When Mars triggers an eclipse point, something really becomes active and alive. Potentially, it can be very explosive or, again, pissed off, anger. This can relate to so many areas of Cancer, which is about family, home, how we feel safe. It's about what we need in our lives, what matters to us. So if you make a connection between what was happening for you last June, something could come back around over this next week. Bring your attention to last June, because it's going to be in the same house in your natal chart that 0 degrees of Cancer eclipse happened at. So 0 degrees of Cancer is a hot spot over this next week with Mars triggering it. And the house placement is where the energy comes out, is where it shows up for you. So if it's 0 degrees of Cancer is in your 10th house, then something could happen at work that pisses you off and doesn't feel safe and gets your emotions going and really, triggers you. So keep that in mind. That is a strong energy. And it is happening alongside Venus and Mercury conjunct Uranus at 10 degrees. It's an interesting week because, again, things are coming out. Like whatever's been bottled in or bottled up could just explode, could just come out. And you can use it consciously or unconsciously. And you might notice this in the people around you, that people are more touchy, that there's a little bit more of like quick to anger or quick to get pissed off, or even in the car, right? Someone cuts you off and there's excessive reactions, there's excessive emotion. That's also part of this Mars in Cancer, is that there's the emotional explosions, the emotional reactions that can seem bigger than what the situation warrants. So just be aware of that in yourself and other people, especially anything that has to do with your body, because Mars rules the body. Anything that's about movement and motion, such as vehicles, anything that is also showing you where you're not happy, because there could be something that comes up that shows you where you're not satisfied because you're out of touch with what you need, with what you want, with what matters to you. Again, those are Taurus energies. I feel like it's a very revealing week, that there's revelations around who you are now, what you want, what matters, where you're not happy, and what you want to go towards. But it's not time to go towards it. In fact, we kind of are sitting in it. And we're being gifted with time to really be intentional and clear around how we use our energy next. And that's probably the best way to think of it, because there could be some things that happen over the next week where you're removing, getting rid of, breaking up, releasing, clearing out, because it's not you anymore. It doesn't resonate with your energy. And again, this can be in terms of something in your life that it doesn't reflect back to you who you are now. And of course, you can feel this from other people. Keep in mind that everyone has had a very big life experience over the past 12 months, 16 months. Everyone has felt these energies, and it's certainly relates to whatever their level of consciousness is. But it's also looking at how we've all changed. So you could see this in other people. This is where you could feel that energy coming from others as well, and it affects you. But remember that you're also grounding in confidence in yourself and trust in yourself that whatever happens, there's always another option. There's always another way forward. There's always another possibility. There's also other things that can show up that meet you at that energy. If there's something that you've been holding on to, do you need to release it? Maybe you'll find out this week. The other thing that I feel is strong is that when we are getting clear on an area of life or something that matters to us and we have to sit in it, I feel like this is the cosmos giving us time to integrate, to really apply and practice what we've come to understand, to not rush forward, to not rush into anything, because there isn't enough information yet. And that's just what I've been feeling intuitively. I feel like there's things that are missing. Information's missing. And this will happen in Gemini season when the planets move into Gemini. But remember, we still have the North Node in Gemini, which is reminding us to keep asking questions, to keep communicating, to not assume that you know something, to not assume that you know what someone else is thinking or what they want. This is a communication energy. We're learning how to communicate better, how to express ourselves in a higher and truer way. And I feel like during this next week, leave energy open, leave space open for what you don't know, for information you haven't received yet. So when you look at how this energy could feel very locked in, not moving, stagnant, stuck, it could be because you also don't have the full story. There's more information, there's more details, there's more that needs to come in, but it's not time yet. It just hasn't arrived yet. It's sort of like you haven't had that conversation yet with someone, but maybe you're making assumptions or you're going off on all these tangents or you're trying to figure it out, but you haven't even had the conversation yet, so you don't know what they're thinking or what they want or what their perspective is. And this is where, again, leave room for what you don't know and maybe alleviate yourself of pressure to figure it all out in your own head. I feel like it's a bit like if something is right in front of you and it's been really big and prominent, maybe heavy, and it's just been staring at you, try and shift it to the side, move it energetically to the side, and allow space in front of you. Allow there to be an opening, because I feel like we need breathing room. We need space, especially as we're sitting in the pause or the unknown, for really trying to take action. There's more that needs to come in first. There's just this, it's just this energy of wait and discuss, or wait and keep gathering information. Sort of like planting a garden where you have designated areas that you know you're going to plant certain vegetables or herbs or fruits or flowers. You want to leave a plot of space that's empty, that allows for a new energy to come in, that you are honoring that there's things you don't know yet, and there's going to be space and room for that new awareness and that new information to come in when the time is right. And this can alleviate mental pressure. This can alleviate the parts of ourselves, our humanness, our egos that want to know, that want to figure it out, that want an answer. I feel like we're really working with new levels of trust right now. And I feel like we're also being directed back into our hearts, into the feminine energies, which are also very strong over this next week. As we have those 4 planets in Taurus, Mars enters Cancer, and we also have Neptune in Pisces, and Pluto stationing retrograde at 26 degrees of Capricorn, 48 minutes, nearly 27 degrees of Capricorn. And that is also a feminine energy. So there's a return to our feminine selves, what we need to hear in our hearts, what we need to stop doing and pay attention to within us, the messages, the intuition, the feelings. That's what's coming up. It's like this bursting through of the feminine energies that keep us in balance, that maintain an equilibrium, but can be overlooked when we're going and doing. So there is this opportunity to check in with yourself, check in with your heart, and to really listen. And that could be where you feel the clarity or the shifts or the changes. That could be where something is made evident to you, but maybe it was covered up or ignored. This is a very interesting dance we have going on here. And I feel like now, at this stage of who we aren't meant to leave any parts of ourselves behind. And that's part of the further integration, as well as the rising consciousness of who we are now. So it's a very interesting week with very interesting energies. And I hope that this has provided some perspective and understanding of what you may be going through or experiencing. I hope it also helps return you to a sense of who you are, a sense of what is possible for you, and that everything is always working in your favor if that's what you believe. Everything is happening for your best and highest good. Everything is showing up for you to support you every day, every single day. And if you can travel with that as a core belief system, it shifts how you perceive yourself, how you perceive other people and their choices or decisions or actions, how you shift what you need, because you know you'll be taken care of. You'll be supportive. There will be something that shows up or comes through because that's what you believe about your own energy. And this is also how we are powerful as creators of our lives and how we work with God, Source, Spirit, the universe to co-create our human experience. So I hope this has been supportive for you. For those who have inquired, yes, you can now listen to that channeling message from January over in my new online access point called the Galactic Center. You can sign up below. It is free to join. You just need to input your email address and then you'll have access to the platform. And I do have all of the channeled messages in there as well. So I hope that that information is timely for you and perhaps even confirms some of the messages or information that you've been receiving as well. As always, thank you for your time, energy, and presence for this podcast. I will be back on Monday to discuss the energies of Jupiter in Pisces, as Jupiter will move into Pisces in May. And I'll be back every Wednesday as well for another weekly overview of the energies. You can find out more about me over at mollymccord.online. I also have a number of audiobooks based on my published books, if that is something you would enjoy. And I also have a number of astrology and business development programs over at mollymccord.online, because I know so many of you are ready to go bigger and follow what you're called to do in this world. And I hope I can support you in those endeavors. So thank you so much, friends. I will be back here very soon. In the meantime, I wish you a beautiful Scorpio full moon, and be sure to check out that video over on my YouTube channel. I'll see you back here soon.